Connor announces it like he's reading a weather update right in the middle of the most important negotiation of my career. He says that I won't be continuing with the company. Effective immediately, my position has been made redundant. The word hits the room like a stapler thrown in a library. Across the table, the other side's chief operating officer freezes with a teapot mid-air. 12 people stop breathing at the same time. I do not look at Connor. From my perspective, if I give him my eyes, I give him the moment. I keep my face calm, even as my ears ring. Then I switch to Mandarin, speaking smoothly and unhurriedly, and apologize to the delegation for the disruption. I watch Connor's smile wobble when he realizes he cannot follow the words. That is the first crack. Because the next thing that happens is not a negotiation move. It is an extraction. And I'm not the one being removed. I am the person companies call when they need trust and not just translation. Titles change, but the work stays the same. You learn the unwritten rules fast. In global business, the loudest person in the room is usually the least informed. In my world, silence is not weakness, it is control. I built partnerships by listening, by letting pauses do their job, by treating local autonomy like a real value instead of a slide in a deck. For 11 months, I lived inside one deal, a long-term logistics and artificial intelligence integration agreement worth $180 million over 5 years. My employer wanted an Asia-Pacific expansion story to sell to investors. The client wanted respect and operational freedom. I was the bridge between those two needs, and I was good at it. I believed competence made you safe. I believed results were armor. That was my mistake. Because safety in corporate life is not built on skill. It is built on paperwork and power. And power had just walked into my conference room wearing a grin and expensive cologne. Connor arrives 15 minutes late, smelling like airport lounge confidence and bad decisions. He talks like he thinks volume is leadership. He opens with a joke about taking the partnership to the moon, like we are at a startup conference and not at a table where one wrong tone can kill trust. The other side's chief operating officer, Mr. Liang, does not acknowledge him. I keep moving, crisp Mandarin, careful phrasing, the autonomy clause protected like a bone under silk. Mr. Liang nods, barely. Then Connor interrupts in English and says we are giving away too much. He says we have leverage. He says we should reframe it, and the word lands wrong. I see the attorneys on the other side shift in their seats. The temperature changes. Connor leans toward me and whispers, "You've been doing great, the cultural liaison thing, but strategy is my lane now." It is not the insult. It is the confidence behind it. He is not just trying to win the room. He is trying to erase me in front of witnesses. And that is when I feel it. I cannot prove it yet, but I can feel it. This is not clumsy. This is planned. We take a short recess because I can see the deal starting to bleed. I step into the hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing, stale coffee burning in the air, Teams ping snapping like little whips from phones. Connor acts like he saved us, like he reset the narrative. I say nothing. I watch him. That is my first real move. Back in the room, we resume on the amended integration clause I drafted after 6 weeks of back-channel talks with their legal team. It is tight. It is fair. It is fragile. Then Connor stands up, chair screaming against polished concrete, and drops the position redundancy line. No warning, no eye contact, just theatre. The room goes still, and Mr. Liang's gaze stays on me, not him. Then Mr. Liang asks, in Mandarin, what my next role will be. Connor hears the shift without understanding the words. Mr. Liang calls a break, and the delegation exits in silence. Connor turns to me and says I should have seen it coming, that I was overpaid and overhyped. Then he tries to salvage it, loud again, talking about legal and public relations, framing it as a transition. The wording in that email was careful later, but the wording in his mouth is sloppy now. He assumes I will panic. I do not. I tell him he is not in the room anymore. His jaw twitches, and then the door opens again. Mr. Liang returns alone, looks at me, and asks if I will continue the discussion independently. One tiny timestamp. One big problem is about to become his problem, not mine. Mr. Liang asks, politely, that my employer's representatives give us the room. Connor tries to object, but he cannot find footing because he just announced I do not work there. The relationship is undefined, and Mr. Liang says it like a scalpel. Connor backs up like he has stepped onto thin ice and finally heard it crack. When the door clicks shut, the air changes. No performance, no bluster, just business. I slide the folder forward and say the proposal still stands, with one change, my title. I pull out a clean sheet with no company logo and no watermark. Independent consultant, same terms, success-based compensation, 10% payable upon execution. Mr. Liang's mouth twitches, not a smile, recognition. He asks if I had it ready. I tell him I stay prepared. We talk for an hour, real talk, about supply chain integration, licensing, phased rollouts, and why decentralization is not a nuisance, but a philosophy. I speak their language, not just Mandarin, but subtext. When his deputies return, I have redlined the contract and added 3 adjustments they wanted, but never asked for. Mr. Liang shakes my hand and says, "This is how business is meant to be done." I nod, because I can feel the second story starting beneath the first. The deal's no longer my employer's crown jewel. It is my exit door, and it is already swinging open. The next morning, my former employer releases a statement so generic it could fit any resignation, thanking me and wishing me well, talking about global restructuring. They scramble a replacement and hire an interpreter who mispronounces basic greetings. They think that is the problem. It is not. The problem is process, and they have none. Within 72 hours, I activate an entity I prepared quietly weeks earlier, registered in a finance-friendly jurisdiction, minimal footprint, clean governance. No drama, no headlines, no vanity. Just a legal container that lets me sign, invoice, and scale. The contract is not with me personally, it is with my firm. That detail matters. Then I move like a ghost. I do not poach with threats. I do not steal confidential data. I do not touch anything that does not belong to me. I do something far more dangerous. I provide competence where they provide chaos. One client gets a white paper I wrote that solves a pain point they ignored. Another gets a short note in their language, polite, discreet, offering help if they need it. I know every pressure point because I built the portfolio. Now I let gravity do the work. Clients do not say no to my former employer. They go quiet, missed meetings, delayed signatures. Let's revisit next quarter. Silence is the corporate version of a locked door. My former employer spirals into emergency calls, overpromises, and fake cheer. Then the first real panic arrives, disguised as a meeting. A mandatory calendar invite sent at 3:14 a.m. East Coast time. Subject line, screaming urgency. And I smile, because I know what comes next. They are about to discover the missing paperwork they did not bother to finish. Connor storms into human resources, demanding they shut me down, claiming breach and theft. A young analyst checks the compliance tracker and goes quiet. My separation paperwork is not there. No signed exit documents. No finalized confidentiality document tied to termination. No enforceable non-compete. Everything marked pending. Connor's face drains. Legal gets looped in and confirms the worst. They fired me loudly, but never finished firing me. That is the kind of mistake that looks small until discovery. Then an anonymous tip hits my secure inbox at 2:47 a.m. They are drafting a retroactive, non-compete, backdated enforcement, a story about sabotage. I do not panic. I open my folder of receipts, my polite requests for a contract audit after title adjustments, my follow-ups, their silence, all time-stamped. Then the fatal message, 2 days before the negotiation blow-up, from Connor himself. I'll take care of his exit. No need to waste legal's time. Just cut his access. Corporate vanity dressed as efficiency. I package it and send it to my defense attorney. Then I send a clean breadcrumb trail to a business reporter who has been sniffing around governance issues for months. No insults, no revenge poetry, just dates, memos, and consequences. The press does not scream at first. A short blurb in an international business section about a strategic partnership with a boutique consultancy. Then, a major finance magazine publishes a careful piece about the disengagement, and my name appears like a match near dry curtains. Stock dips 6%, then 9%. Investors start calling. The board stops trusting Connor's smile. Then Martin, an early board member, calls me privately and asks to meet somewhere quiet, away from cameras. The noose tightens, and it tightens fast. 2 days later, Connor walks into a shareholder meeting with a stack of documents he does not understand yet, and he tries to address the noise. Someone says my name out loud, flat and sharp, and the room turns on him like a jury. Martin presents Connor's emails to the general counsel and names the failure plainly. No process, no oversight, no protection. Connor tried to blame me for walking through a door he left wide open. An ethics review gets scheduled. A settlement offer comes to me that night, high 6 figures, in exchange for silence. I decline in 2 sentences. I am not looking for money. I am looking for truth. Then the long article drops at 7:03 a.m. My time, bloodless and terminal, tracing the chaos and the cover-ups with receipts. The stock drops 18%, trading halts. Connor is placed on administrative leave pending investigation. And while my former employer scrambles to explain unexpected headwinds, I'm in a glass conference room finalizing a bigger agreement directly with the client. No middlemen, no weak links, no ego at the wheel. Here is the noir truth. In corporate life, power is not magic. It is incentives and documentation. If you want to survive, you do not just do good work. You make sure the paper remembers it. Subscribe for more desk justice diaries.